Every house has a secret, but in this one, it wasn't the creaking floors or the cold drafts that terrified its owners. It was the silent room where whispers never stopped.
When Daniel and his wife Clara bought the old countryside manor, they were enchanted by its sprawling fields and high-arched ceilings. The estate, abandoned for decades, had a reputation in the nearby village. They called it the Silent House. Locals warned them never to open a certain room on the east wing, a chamber that remained locked since anyone could remember. Daniel brushed it off as superstition, thinking it only added character to the purchase. The first nights passed peacefully, but the house had its quirks: cold drafts, faint whispers carried by the wind, and doors that creaked as though pushed by unseen hands. Clara often complained of hearing footsteps above their bedroom at night, though Daniel assured her the old beams were just settling. Still, the villagers' warnings haunted her. One evening, she asked Daniel why the east wing remained locked. He didn't have an answer, only the unsettling realization that the realtor had avoided the subject. And so curiosity began to gnaw at him, curiosity that would unravel everything they thought they knew about their home. It was a rainy afternoon when Daniel finally tried the east wing door. The heavy oak was carved with strange patterns, worn from time, yet disturbingly deliberate, almost like symbols. To his surprise, the key from the master ring slid in smoothly, as if the lock had been waiting for him. The door creaked open to reveal a room untouched by dust, as though someone had lived there only yesterday. A single rocking chair sat in the center, facing the window. On the walls, old portraits of children stared blankly outward, each with their eyes carefully scratched out. Clara refused to step inside, her body trembling as she whispered, "It feels wrong in here." Daniel tried to laugh it off, but couldn't ignore the suffocating heaviness of the air. That night, the manor was restless. The rocking chair creaked by itself, its sound echoing through the hallways. Daniel woke to find Clara sitting upright in bed, eyes wide, saying she heard a child's laughter from the east wing. When he went to check, the door was closed again, locked from the inside. Days stretched into weeks, and the house grew colder. Shadows lingered longer than they should, and Clara became increasingly distant. She began sleepwalking, always stopping at the locked east wing door, tapping gently on it as though waiting for someone to answer. Daniel, horrified, would pull her away, but she never remembered in the morning. He tried nailing the door shut, but every morning the nails were scattered across the hallway floor. One evening, he decided to stay awake and keep watch. Around midnight, Clara rose from bed, her eyes blank, and began humming a lullaby he had never heard before. She made her way to the east wing, placed her hand on the door, and whispered, "They're waiting for me." Daniel grabbed her, but the door swung open on its own. Inside, the rocking chair was moving violently, as though someone unseen was sitting in it. From the corner, he saw a figure, a child's silhouette, faceless and pale, staring right at him. Clara collapsed in his arms as the figure dissolved into the darkness. Terrified, Daniel sought answers in the village. An old priest told Daniel the manor once belonged to a wealthy family whose children had all died mysteriously inside that same east wing room. Locals believed the parents had practiced dark rituals, trying to bind their children's souls to the house. The priest warned Daniel to leave before the spirits claimed Clara completely. But Daniel's pride and disbelief pushed him to stay. He returned to the manor determined to burn the east wing shut. Yet as he carried the fuel, the atmosphere turned unbearable. The house groaned as though alive, the walls shaking violently. Clara, now awake but strangely calm, begged him not to harm the room. She said, "They only want me," in a voice that was not her own. Daniel froze as multiple childlike giggles erupted from the walls, echoing throughout the halls. He tried to drag Clara out of the house, but the doors slammed shut, trapping them inside. The night turned into a waking nightmare. Every mirror in the manor cracked, showing reflections of children standing behind Daniel and Clara. The portraits in the east wing began to weep dark stains, as if bleeding. Clara, no longer resisting, walked willingly into the room and sat in the rocking chair. She looked at Daniel and smiled, a cold, empty smile, before whispering, "Now it's my turn." Shadows crawled across the floor, climbing up her body, wrapping around her like chains. Daniel screamed and tried to pull her away, but his hands went straight through her, as if she were fading. The faceless child appeared again, this time closer, its hollow stare piercing through him. Dozens of small hands began reaching from the walls, grabbing at Daniel's clothes, pulling him back as Clara's figure disappeared into the chair. The room sealed shut, the lock clicking into place, leaving him outside, pounding helplessly on the wood. By morning, the east wing door was locked again, and Clara was gone, her presence erased as if she had never existed. The villagers said the house had claimed another soul, just as it always had. Daniel, broken and alone, tried to flee, but the manor would not let him. Doors refused to open, windows showed only endless darkness, and the walls whispered with children's voices mocking him. He realized then that the curse was never about the children. It was about the house itself, feeding on the living, trapping them in endless silence. Weeks later, when villagers dared to check the property, the manor stood quiet. The east wing door was locked, but inside, the portraits had changed. One new painting hung on the wall. Clara, seated in the rocking chair, her eyes scratched out like all the others, and beside her was Daniel, his face twisted in horror, forever bound to the silent room.